Good evening and welcome to Crawley Borough Council's Overview and Scrutiny Commission meeting of the 3rd of November 2025. I am Councillor Justin Russell, Chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Commission. There are no scheduled fire drills tonight, so in the event of the fire alarm sounding, please leave the building via the main spiral staircase and through the main reception doors. Once outside, please turn left and make your way to the fire assembly point located beyond the multi-storey car park on Exchange Road. If you're unable to use the stairs, please wait in the council chamber and you'll be guided by a member of staff to the evacuation lift. This meeting is being live streamed via the council's YouTube channel. Please note there is a no comments function available as part of the webcasting. The council is the data collector and will retain the data collected during this webcast. This will be done so in accordance with the council's published data retention policy. It would appear there are no members of the public gallery, or members of the public in the gallery. So, moving on, councillors are reminded to take note of what is displayed on the screens in the room, as this shows what is being recorded and webcast. Cameras are currently set to capture you in a seated position, so please remain seated when speaking. You can request to speak as usual in committees by raising your hand, and I'll always endeavour to make sure that everybody gets their chance to speak by pressing the button with the face on it, and the microphone will go green when you're live. Before we start the agenda items, I intend to change the order slightly, swapping over the HRA business plan and budget strategy items. We will now... Sorry? No. Okay, do not read blindly what's in front of you, Russell. Okay. Thank you. All right. Apologies for absence. Have we received any apologies for absence?
Yes, we have, Chair. We got apologies from Council Hellier.
Okay, thank you. Are there any? No, would appear not. Disclosures of interest and whipping declarations. Does any member have any disclosures of interest or whipping declarations to make? None on today. Okay. Now we come to the minutes of the last meeting held on the 6th of October, which do contain exempt items. Does the Commission agree these minutes? Are those minutes agreed? Agreed. Okay, thank you. There are no members of the public, so there is no public question time. So we'll move on. We're now to item 5. We now consider the Review and Transformation Plan Year 2 report and a brief presentation also from Councillor Noyce, Cabinet Member for Resources. We also have Simon Jones, Head of Digital and Transformation, Emma Nash, IT Transformation Manager, and Karen Burton, HR and OD Manager, and I think also Chris Page, Deputy Chief Executive. Can I also publicly thank Simon and Emma for a very, very useful helpful discussion that we had in the pre-meet, so thank you. Councillor Noyce, would you have anything to add or anything we want to put in the report?
Just a couple of quick words.
Oh, sorry, could I just say something very quickly? The main screen isn't working, so I think we've only got this one, is it, Heather? So you guys will need to turn slightly in order to be able to see the presentation when it's up. Sorry,
I'll try not to look at myself. Right, well, this is the latest update of the transformation scheme by Simon and Emma, and there's an incredible amount of work which has been going on with services and systems and the rest of it. And it's one of those things when people have been using the new system for a while, they very quickly sort of you get used to it, forget about how much work's gone into it, but an incredible amount of work by a lot of people has gone into it. So I'd like to thank them all, and I'll pass over to Simon and Emma to present the scheme. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. My name is Simon Jones. I'm the Head of Digital and Transformation, and with me is...
Hi, good evening. Emma Nash, IT Transformation Programme Manager. Okay, we've got some slides to run through. This is by way of an update on Year 2 of the 3-year transformation programme. You'll have read the report, so these slides are just there to kind of highlight a few of the elements that we wanted to bring to your attention. We try not to just read what's on the slides, and we'll try and talk around them a little bit. So this is Year 2 of the 3-year programme. This is a reminder of the 6 work streams, each of which is sponsored by a member of CMT, which make up the Transformation Board, along with Emma and Karen, the HR and OD Manager, and staff from across the Council are involved in all of these projects. Okay, so this is the first stream, which is the Our Customers piece. That's sponsored by myself. We've made good progress over the last year. We continue to work on addressing issues arising from the kind of difficult customer interactions. And we delivered a wide array of projects in the channel shift space, so things like Benefits Online, which will go live later this year, but also a lot of additional services added to My Crawley. Some of the stats are on the slide regarding take-up and the number of transactions. And there's some supporting activity at Tilgate, Park and Zoo. We're also piloting work in the digital inclusion space with the County Council, with a project that kicks off later this year called Families Do Digital. We've had over 5,000 new registrations on My Crawley in the last year and more than 41,000 transactions completed online. So that represents thousands of residents now able to access services at their convenience 24/7. And instead of ringing us or writing to us or coming to see us, they're doing it themselves, which frees up a huge amount of staff time to support those who need more support, potentially vulnerable customers. And as I said, for those that can't access digital services, we're working with partners to tackle digital exclusion, including a pilot project targeting young families who need support. All of this is underpinned by a commitment to continuous improvement, using data to identify where manual processes remain and targeting those areas for further development and digitisation. That's it on that one.
Okay, so the second of the work streams is the Supporting Our Communities work stream. This is jointly sponsored by Head of Community Services and Head of Crawley Homes, which reflects the nature of this partnership working work stream. In terms of, there's two projects that sit within this work stream, the Cost of Living and Access Crawley. In the Cost of Living project, this takes a preventative approach and working with our partners on the lived experience and using this information from these meetings, looking at how we can best support those in financial need. We've most recently, actually just last week, signed a data sharing agreement which enables us to share data on those that are most vulnerable of us and those in receipt of council tax reduction. And what this does, it will automatically enrol them to a social water tariff with these companies that supply Crawley. So this is a real preventative approach. At the moment, people have to apply, and what people will benefit from is possibly up to nearly 50% discount on their water bills, which is quite a substantial saving for those residents. Also in this space is the joint working, which is internally, and the use of how we distribute the household support funds 6 and 7. And these, in this round, have been mostly benefiting people with new carpets, white goods, and also bus travel around Crawley, which has helped people. In terms of Access Crawley, this has been established about 2020, 2021, and since then have been able to support over 600 referrals into the scheme, which is embedded into the contact centre. Excuse me. So it's the collaborative model which is led through the contact centre and supporting all the community, all the customers that come in through that door. Looking ahead, we are looking to transition this. Apologies, the notes have gone a bit skewy, so I'm just going to do it off the top of my head. So looking forward, we will be, they're in the early days of speaking with our colleagues at the NHS and through West Sussex County Council to take a more preventative approach to supporting those customers that need us most. It's also been sort of a joint working between the first work stream that Simon mentioned and through having the knowledge of those young families who may need the support, that Access Crawley has put referrals into the Families Do Digital project, and there will be 40 families in receipt working on that project.
Okay, so this is the people, our people. So, so recognising that staff, our people, are critical to everything we do. Over the last year, we've made significant strides in supporting staff wellbeing, developing skills, and working towards modernising our HR systems. Recruitment's been a particular focus with a refreshed employer value proposition and improvements to our recruitment processes to attract and retain, hopefully, the best talent, even as local government faces sector-wide challenges. Wellbeing's top priority. We've rolled out lone worker devices, expanded mental health first aider support, and provided opportunity for staff to have their voices heard, such as the annual staff survey, which is going to close at the end of next week. The feedback we gather directly shapes our action plans and ensures that we've responded to what matters most to staff and our teams. Equality, diversity and inclusion, EDI, has also been a priority with new training modules and a refreshed action plan. We're benchmarking our reward and recognition schemes against other councils to ensure fairness and consistency, and we are reviewing policies like the disciplinary procedures to make sure that they're fit for purpose. On the system side, so more closer to my heart, we're implementing a new HR and payroll solution that will enable self-service for all of our staff, and that frees up HR time to focus on the kind of value add work. Our learning platform, so that's our online learning system, is being upgraded. We are designing an all-staff training programme based on the recent learning survey, with a particular focus on digital skills and preparing for a future unitary council.
Okay, in the asset space, again sponsored by Head of Major Projects and Commercial Services, you'll see through the report that the team have made real progress in this area over the last year. There's really been a strategic approach to asset management to make sure that we best use of our assets. There's a coordinated and there's a corporate approach to the facilities management, compliance and planned maintenance of these assets, and recorded through a single reference point. The team have also been investing in energy efficiency projects. Many of you have seen the new solar panels at K2. There are over 580 automatic meter readers in place now. And what that does, it enables us to get real-time data to help us manage costs, help us manage efficiencies, and provide a more effective and efficient system. In the IT space, there's a project that has kicked off for Manor Royal to have gigabit across the whole of Manor Royal. The contract with the partner has been signed, and the network build is underway. I'm pleased to report that the build is actually ahead of schedule, and fingers crossed, long may this continue. And you'll soon start to see marketing of this new network, and businesses should be able to sign up early next year, if not sooner. And lastly, you'll also all be aware of the Innovation Centre that launched. It's now operational, with company Oxford Innovation taking over management of it, and the occupancy targets on this are already being met.
Thank you. This commercialisation piece, so this is an enabling work stream for all of our transformation initiatives that looks at productivity and efficiency, and that cuts across everything that we do. The work stream is about embedding a kind of commercial mindset across the council, not just in isolated projects. We're using data to benchmark our fees and charges, for instance, ensuring that they're fair and competitive and aligned with best practice. The car park strategy, which was approved in June, is a good example of how we're using commercial thinking to generate the additional income that can be reinvested in services. Tilgate Park business plan is delivering results with the rebranding of the zoo, which I'm sure you've seen, and a new website and an enhanced online booking and payments system. But it's not just about the income, we're also upskilling managers in commercial awareness, contract management and report writing, so that commercial thinking becomes kind of part of the organisation's skill set, its DNA, just to ensure that we generate income. We do so in a way that supports public service ethos and delivers tangible benefits for residents. We're also monitoring the report of, monitoring the impact of changes closely, using that data to inform future decisions, just to make sure that it remains sustainable in the longer term.
Okay, so that was just sort of a whistle-stop tour through the 6 work streams. There's obviously lots more information in the enclosed report. And I hope you can see we've achieved a lot already of the 2 years of the 3-year plan. Over the coming months, I'll be working with the Transformation Board and we'll review the plan and the priorities for the 3rd year. Some of the projects have gone live, some are very near to going live. We will make sure that throughout year 3 that these are completed, that we make sure that any change that we implement is embedded into the organisation and that we make sure that we get the benefits and that those are delivered. We'll also review, it's an agile plan, so if there are any other projects that we may need to start, that may need to be coordinated through the Transformation Board, we will make sure that those are added. As the understanding of and develops with regards to the outcome of local government reorganisation, we will be moving this transition into the transformation space. We'll be using the governance that's already established and runs well through the Transformation Board and bring LGR into this transformation space.
And this diagram hopefully illustrates that. So you can see the downward trajectory of the resource for the transformation programme, the upward trajectory for the local government reorganisation, because it's going to be the same resources broadly. I've been doing transformation that will be doing the work on the LGR programme. So one fits across the other, one begins to kind of take a more substantial amount of our resources as we go forward into that space. It's about managing expectations. Obviously not all the transformation projects will just stop. There'll be a number that continue for various reasons. One, because it makes economic sense for us to continue doing it. One, because we can't stop. They're longer than 3-year commitment and we've got to continue to do them. But I suspect we'll see the transformation programme as it stands move into a kind of a much lower level at the end of year 3, but we will continue to kind of deliver where it's required, where it makes sense to do so. And we will transition from transformation to transformation and LGR. Do you want to do this one? I'll do it. So this final slide just kind of shows you what the transformation plan will look like for year 3. We've inserted LGR in there, and we'll continue to manage the programme under the existing governance arrangements, which have worked very well for us so far. That's it. Any questions?
Thank you very much indeed for the report and presentation. And I'll now open up to questions and for discussion for the Commission. Do any councillors have any questions, please? Councillor Pritchard.
Thank you very much, Chair. Very interesting, very good to see the progress. Just a quick question regarding the Supporting Our Communities workstream. How are we looking to reach out to people within Crawley that are not Crawley Homes tenants, particularly those in private rented accommodation? Things like cost of living are sort of having a bigger impact on those because of the higher rents. So what measures are we taking to ensure that they're encompassed within this?
So the Access Crawley service, the team, are not kind of focused particularly on any one area of the organisation, any one set of customers. It's across the piece. So any customer contacting us where there is where they flag potentially as vulnerable or at risk of any kind, but that's how they're identified. We're not looking particularly at Crawley Homes residents. We're looking at all council tax users, all people in receipt of benefits, anyone who flags through a set of criteria, a set of measures, particularly around indebtedness, is how they're identified.
Surely Crawley Homes tenants will show up a lot quicker on indebtedness because they would be indebted to us, whereas a lot of people will try and keep their council tax okay. So is there any... the other thing is a lot of these initiatives are advertised within our own properties. So when you've got communal stairways, there'll be, I'm guessing, a poster or something there, whereas a lot of private tenants don't tend to have access to those spaces. So just double checking that we are reaching everyone we should reach.
I'm not an expert on this, and I take your point entirely that Crawley Homes residents have probably got access to more advertising, but we have a system called Lateral, which looks at indebtedness across all of our systems. And people who show up in more than one space, and that could be Crawley Homes and somewhere else, but it could be equally be 2 other places, including things like not paying a green bin bill. So we try, but obviously it's probably easier for some cohorts than others.
Could I just ask Ian to add there?
So look, Access Crawley's something that we're really quite proud about. Some of the things. One of the things it's shown is people make good decisions generally, even when they're in debt, and the rent is generally, unless there's something very odd going on, the last thing that people do because they don't want to put their tenancy at risk. So actually your early sight of it is usually through council tax arrears. It's the other way round. So you see them coming through those kind of signs. And one of the things that we've been able to do using some of the systems that Simon has talked about is actually try and get ahead of that. So who are the people at risk? Who are the people who like to be underclaiming benefits in particular areas? And we've proactively gone out to advertise, and we've had some, not masses of success, but we have had some good success in that space as well. So as Simon says, it's not tenure blindness.
Were there any other questions or points on the floor? Councillor Lanza?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the report. And just a couple of questions. There's several references to increased abuse from customers in the system. And I just wondered on that point, while we have certain measures in place, do we kind of communicate publicly when we take the view that we're going to impose some sanctions on some of these offenders as a deterrent to other people doing this? A second point is there's reference to essential training for staff. This might be more of a question for a cabinet member, but is there any consideration being given to the range of essential / mandatory training that would be appropriate for elected members?
The first point was about the abusive customers. We do impose sanctions on individuals who we feel have behaved badly enough to warrant them, if I can put it that way. We do not publicise who has received a sanction.
Let's come back on that. Yeah, thank you for that. I understand that point. I wasn't arguing for a name and shame, but in other areas of the council where we have to go as far as using prosecution powers, we do indeed name, and that's where I'm coming from if it were to get to that state.
Generally, if it's serious, there's a police intervention and the prosecution is, or that the police deal with the matter. I don't think, I may be wrong, but I don't know that Crawley's taken anyone to court that it could then name and shame. But I take your point, it might not be a bad thing to highlight the fact that we have taken a number of sanctions out against badly behaved customers, and it means they are banned from the town hall or some sort, yeah.
actions have consequences, as we would frequently say in my old days as a school teacher. Ian, you were going to come on the second point, weren't you?
So there's been quite a lot of effort using to advertise training programmes for counsellors and getting them out about dealing with those, be it in the social media space, be it with abusive. So we continue to look out for those, work with the LGA to highlight them, and then advertise them around. I don't think we're yet on a mandatory sort of thing for members, but that's possibly one if we want to look at as a member development kind of working group type discussion, I would think.
Thanks, Chair, and thank you for that answer. I suppose, as an example, when I'm thinking of essential mandatory training, it might be, say, equality, diversity, inclusion, that kind of area. So, as an example.
Just for additional information, sorry, Councillor Lanza, Noyce. I've been liaising with Chris Pedlow about possible safety training for councillors as well, because the times are in. Through other areas, I've come across that possibility and been speaking with Chris about that, and we should be making that available for councillors to build awareness and understanding of how to possibly deal with difficult situations. Sorry, Councillor Noyce.
I was just going to say that there's also a security officer as well, which is a relatively new thing, and hopefully that's will help to deter sort of people a bit more rather than to sort of deal with punch-ups or anything. So, but the dealing with awkward and abusive customer training obviously is going to be a very useful one. And I gather some of the officers are very good at handling this already as well. So. Yeah, they're doing all they can.
Okay, were there any other questions or issues that people wanted to raise? Again, I would say thank you very much for that long and detailed discussion that we had, and we did go into some depth so that the Commission know how things will move from the transition programme, our transformation programme, into the LGR, and how that will work. And also, one of the things we talked about, which I think I would like to share, is the real value of the training programme, and how that will make Crawley Borough staff feel valued for the continued time that they're in the employment existence, and upskill them to a point, and I think that's worth mentioning, they'll be upskilled and feel confident and more confident moving into the LGR, that they will be able to secure appropriate positions. So thank you for that. Okay. All committee members have had the opportunity to speak, so I would thank again the officers for what I thought was an excellent report. I move that the Commission notes the report and presentation, request the views expressed during the debate be noted by the officers. Can I go to the floor for a seconder on that? Thank you. Okay, don't mind who. Sorry? Ollie, yes, please. Sorry. You can be next. Is that agreed? Everyone? Yeah. Okay, recommendations agreed. So, right, thank you very much. Moving on to item 6, I think pleased to welcome Councillor Noyce to update the Commission on the resources portfolio and the roles and responsibilities. I'll hand over to Councillor Noyce prior to the Commission wanting to ask any questions. So, Councillor Noyce.
Thank you very much. Resources is a large portfolio that spans across 3 divisions of the Council. It covers our assets and our people, IT and data, transformation, performance, customer services and complaints, democracy and governance, legal and procurement, plus health and safety. The OFC has already heard that the Council has been on the modernisation journey delivered through the transformation plan. We have made real progress, and our objective has been to provide better and more efficient and accessible services for residents. My portfolio is very broad, and I continue to work with heads of service to ensure that we prioritise the work streams and to best use the available officer time and resources. What I hope will be useful for OSC is to set out some of the key activity in the last year and some of the areas we'll be focusing on in the next few months. You may well want more detail on certain points of my portfolio. I'd be happy to take on board any comments and thoughts and come back to you separately. The direction within IT and customer services has largely been covered within the transformation plan item. I wasn't planning to cover these any further in any great detail. However, there are a couple of items of note that members should be aware of, not included within the transformation update. Windows 11 has been successfully deployed and organisation-wide ahead of schedule. While such projects may not generate significant enthusiasm, completing this upgrade promptly ensures we provide a secure, reliable and modern user experience, while also safeguarding both users and the network against vulnerabilities associated with outdated operating systems. It's a kind of timely housekeeping activity that helps protect us from cyber attack by minimising vulnerabilities in our network. SharePoint has now been implemented and across nearly all teams within the organisation. This significant project forms the foundation of our enhanced information management strategy and procedures. As a result, we are better positioned to safeguard residents' data and maintain compliance with applicable data protection legislation. The programme remains on track for completion by December this year. As referred to in the transformation update earlier, there is a massive programme of work underway to upgrade our HR systems and processes. The People Systems programme will deliver tangible benefits to every employee and manager in the organisation. This will create more time and capacity to deliver services to the public. Alongside that, the People Operations programme includes development and improvement around organisational learning, staff welfare and staff recognition. Work has been undertaken to enhance our recruitment and retention function to ensure that we are competitive in the employment market. Both these programmes will enhance the way the HR team operates. The HR team continues to handle a regular flow of recruitment campaigns and supports managers with grievances and disciplinary matters, plus absence and performance management. We value our workforce and recognise that our managers need the support and tools to get the best out of our staff. The Democratic Services team has worked very well to help members to navigate our busy calendar of council meetings. For residents, our meetings are very accessible. They can come to the town hall to watch in person, or they can watch the meeting live via webcast or after the event with the online recording. The team is also leading on the community government's review, specifically looking at whether a town council is a possibility. The CGR process has already started. The corporate performance team has continued to focus on overseeing performance and corporate assurance. This provides the corporate management team with a more detailed view of how the council is performing. The council is also in a good position when it comes to its consideration and reporting of its strategic risks. Those members on the audit committee will be familiar with the strategic risk register. The council receives a significant volume of complaints, with the majority relating to Crawley homes. For residents, we have a clear, accessible and transparent complaints process. Very few complaints go on to one of the two ombudsman bodies. Those complaints that do get there do not generally succeed. This shows that the council's complaints process is robust and fair. We've recently made some minor changes to the council's complaints policy to take on board suggestions from the Housing Ombudsman. The data team handles a very high volume of freedom of information requests and subject access requests. The team aims to process and enable a member of public's right to information or access to their own data. The team also oversees the council's GDPR compliance. The legal team has been well settled and effective in supporting all services to deliver on corporate priorities. The team handles a high volume of matters across contracts, property, litigation and housing. There have been some changes in terms of personnel, and digital ways of working are well established within the service. The shared procurement service, which is led by the council, continues to be very busy. Residents can be assured that the council carries out its procurement in compliance with regulations and to secure value for money. Regular updates of major procurement are provided to the OSC and Cabinet. Southern Internal Audit Partnership, SIAP, has continued to provide the internal audit service, and this has worked very well. The council achieved a reasonable assurance rating for 2024-25, which is reassuring, especially with the pressures including a significant demand for services that the council is facing. Regular progress reports are presented to the Audit Committee. The council once again received praise from SIAP for the high levels of engagement and cooperation from its officers on audits. On the governance side, members will know that our monitoring officer has recently left the organisation after 4.5 years. His closing opinion at October's governance committee was that the council's governance arrangements are robust, rigorous and transparent, and that based on separate sources, these arrangements are fit for purpose. The council has appointed Jane Cryer as a new monitoring officer, and we anticipate that she will be joining us early next year. I hope that this provides the OSC with a good overview of current activity across my portfolio. With the support of officers, I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Noyce. Do we have any questions from the floor? Councillor Lunnan.
Thank you, Councillor Noyce, for the presentation. I just wondered if you could touch on the impact of local government reorganisation on the human resources strategy that we've got at the moment. Obviously, one might think that their staff might become more worried about their job prospects in future, and recruitment might be a struggle as well. So I wondered if you could touch on that in any way.
Okay. Thank you for your question. One of the things that we're working on at the moment is a staff survey, and as with the usual process with staff surveys, you would have a specific set of questions that you would carry on each survey, so that you've got some continuity and some comparative data. But what we've included this year is a section that covers LGR, so it's asking individuals around their, if they've got concerns, are they looking at this as some opportunities, and we'll get a bit of a flavour from that survey, which will then help us to pack something together to support staff going forward. In terms of your point about recruitment, I think it's a little bit early days yet to say whether or not we'll be losing employees because of the uncertainty of LGR, but it is something that we're very mindful of, and we will be looking at that through some of our exit questionnaires and our exit interviews, so that we can establish if that's going to have an impact for us.
I suppose the only other question, I don't know if you know the answer, is if you do see sort of an increase in staff turnover, have you any plans yet for how you might address that going forward? You know, what might you do to reduce staff turnover if you see an increase?
Yeah, we're not seeing an increase at the moment, but you know, what we're looking at is our employee values, and so when we're advertising, we are putting some more information in our adverts and in the information that we provide around enhancements of benefits. So not everybody knows all of the things that you would be an attraction to local authority. So we're trying to build that package up in the background, and things that really encourage people to come to an organisation. It's a great working space. Flexibility, our hybrid working approach is really beneficial. We have good feedback from our workforce, so we like to mirror that in terms of our recruitment. But I think once we have any reasons shown to us why people are leaving, that would then give us some information then that we can have a look at and see if there's anything that we can address. So it's a little bit of a wait and see, really. Thank you.
Ian, you had something to add in?
So it's actually interesting. We've seen staff turnover decrease since local government reorganisation came in. I think the fact that this is happening alongside so many others, it's not like we've seen in previous rounds where there's an island of local government reorganisation and surrounded by people not, and therefore people take make a choice about certainty. The reality is, within the South East, this is fairly systemic. So I think that will come into play. We're also in that funny period, although there's we're making every effort in terms of communication to staff and keeping them fully updated with LGR. So it's being honest about the fact that, you know, the submission's gone in, but there's no decision yet. And I think it's really at that decision point, and when we start building what is to follow, that people will start to really kind of make more concrete their plans. At the moment, I think we're in a little bit of a holding pattern. So that's why the staff survey is so important, to really get to the bottom of that. What is people want to know? What are the fears? So we can start to address that up front. And I think, you know, this is something we're incredibly conscious of right across West Sussex. So in the conversations that we have at the chief exec level, we're prioritising the HR element for this very reason. So people are clear about, or as clear as we can be about, the pathway from where we are now to where we're going to be, and to give as much people as much certainty as we can in what is an uncertain environment. So it's uppermost in our minds.
Thank you. And I think it goes back to the pre-meeting discussion we had about the value of the training that's been offered to staff, that they feel that there are opportunities to improve themselves prior to LGR coming through, which means it's worth staying. Are there any other points or questions from the floor? Councillor Lanza.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation, Councillor Noyce. Just a question on the neighbourhood parades, and can you just remind us how many units we have today, and the occupancy level, or alternatively the vacancy level, and also the size of the waiting list for applicants? Now, at times, I recall that waiting list as being broadly equivalent to the total number of units on the parade. I wonder if that's still the case. I appreciate you might not be able to answer that immediately.
So not off the top of my head. I'm just wondering whether, Richard, you could actually sort of give us some information on that.
I can provide the information to you.
Sorry, Willie, could you come to the microphone if that's okay? Thank you. So we can capture your answer.
Thank you for your question. Yes, I can provide the data, which we do keep, which will give you an update on the number of units and the amount of interest which comes from our agents. But I can say that we have a small number of units that are available, but we have a large amount of interest in any unit that goes to the market, and we always have a significant number of potential tenants who put in bids for those units. And by significant number, we can often have up to 15 different businesses seeking any of our units at any one time.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Just a comment. I think that is a really important statistic you've offered us up there, because you're 15 to 1. There was a quiz show called that, wasn't there, actually? But 15 to 1 shows something about the desirability of having a presence on our neighbourhood parades, and I think that's really encouraging. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Were there any other questions, or Councillor Noyce, did you have a comment?
If you could give me an update on that, and I can pass that on to the Commission, Richard. But I mean, I've actually been out today myself, actually, helping to show people around one of our sort of properties, and there was interest in another one. But as Richard says, there's only a small amount which are actually available, and they do go very quickly. And in fact, one which it took us a while to get back, which was the Chinese takeaway in Southgate, once that was available again, and was tidied up, and the rest of it, I went very quickly, and I think we've got probably a very good tenant in there, as most of them tend to be. So it's in a good shape. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Were there any other questions from the floor? No. Well, thank you very much for attending, Councillor Noyce, and for giving members the opportunity to ask questions. And hopefully we'll have some of those written answers as well. So, okay, thank you. Just take a moment if you guys want to. we'll move on to item 7 in a moment. Thank you very much. Thanks. Okay, item 7, the forthcoming decision list. It's featured on your agenda and also on the council's website. I will ask Heather to list those that have been referred.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Just to let you know, there's been a slight change to the published agenda. There are currently 8 reports heading to Cabinet on the 26th of November. The 4 highlighted have already been referred to the OSC. Those are the ones listed in the agenda, which are the review of the statement licensing policy, which is the Gambling Act, budget monitoring quarter 2, Treasury Management mid-year review, and the corporate measures and performance report. The other 4 reports heading to Cabinet are the other items 5, 6, 7 and 8. So the Crawley growth deal refresh won't be going to Cabinet in November. So out of the Crawley Employment and Skills Programme, Crawley Homes Policy on Void Management, Forward Programme of Key Procurements and Sustainable Procurement and Social Value Charter. If you can let me know if you wish to refer any of those, please, in addition to the 4 you already have.
So over to members. Is there anything there that people would like referred? You feel that we can add value to? In addition to the 4 that we already have. Councillor Lunnan?
Yeah, the voids management policy I think would be quite an interesting one to see, since I'm sure it's a continuation of the existing practice, but it'd be good to see what that policy is and for us to see if we're happy with it. And we haven't had Councillor Irvine tonight, so it's only fair he comes back and presents another policy.
It does feel a little bit odd without him here, doesn't it? How do members feel? Do we want to see the Crawley Homes policy on void management? Would that be agreeable? Yeah? Okay. All right, in the absence of others, I think we'll take that. That'll leave us with 5 to have a look at, which means that we're now on to the exempt item on the agenda. So we come to the Part B exempt report. This is the confidential section of the meeting. Therefore, under Section 100A(4) of the Local Government Act 1972, the public be excluded from the meeting for the following item of business on the grounds that it involves the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in Part 1 of the Schedule 12A of the Act by virtue of the paragraph specified against the item. The recording and live stream will now finish, so I would thank everyone and anyone who has been watching or watches to this point. Thank you.